I'm live.
All right.
Yay. Path to you with Ken O'Shea. Take 2.
Yeah, really.
Oh, man. Yeah, literally.
That's some technical difficulty. We got it, though.
It's okay. Ken O'Shea. We start every episode with, how did you get?
So I got here. I moved from the Bay Area. I grew up in the Bay Area, and my wife got a really cool job opportunity to come up to Sacramento long term. She was already up here working a little bit at the time. I got an opportunity to kind of stay up here long term to be in a better position. At the time, I was kind of doing some stuff in the Bay Area, working for a bigger club down there, I got pretty much as far as I could in that company. I learned so much from them, and I'm so grateful for them. But it was just kind of time, for us to make a little bit of a change, and obviously wanted to be with her. So I came up to the Sacramento area and basically started looking at every club between Davis and El Dorado Hills, which is about 30-mile spread. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 30-mile spread. And I settled on a couple places. There was this place out in Folsom. I think that they were kind of thinking about opening another location. They were thinking about wanting me to GM that one. There was a Capital LA Club, which was more kind of the environment I was coming from, bigger corporate facility, lots of people coming through throughout the day. And then there was Fitsom. And Fitsom was definitely a lot smaller than the other places I had worked. I was working from like 60,000 square feet to now 5,000 square feet, from 3,500 memberships to, just members, not necessarily, under 1,000 members, for sure. Under 500, under a couple right now. So it's definitely a different feel. But when I walked into the door at Fitsom, I started talking with Caitlin, one of the co-owners, and she was talking about health and wellness and fitness in a way that I thought it always should have been talked about. We started talking, had a great conversation. She started talking about Z Health a little bit. I was like, you know what Z Health is? She's like, you know what Z Health is? And I was like, yeah. And I've been here since. I started working with them, just kind of teaching classes, working with a few clients for about the first 6 months or so. Went away, got married, came back from our honeymoon, and then Caitlin and Marco about to have their first son, and he was going to be born pretty soon there. So like, hey, we know you're coming from a bigger club. We need some help. Can you help us kind of manage this, and we'll make you co-owner? And so that's how I became one of the co-owners of Fitsom.
So crazy.
Yeah. So it's good timing. Yeah. I kind of walked in the door.
You literally walked in the door.
I was like, how'd you get here? I walked in the door.
Yeah.
Like I went old school. Like I looked them all up, and I literally just went around to all of the different facilities that I wanted to work at. Because I've always been really good on the phone in an interview, so I was like, I'm gonna go use that to my advantage. So like, be fine. So yeah. Totally. So I showed up in like slacks and like everything, and like, especially around here, it's kind of fun. You see people walking in slacks now, and then laugh. I was like, that was me. Because we're so much more laid back than that. It's still fun.
And so you're owner of Fitsom. Tell me what Fitsom is. It stands for Fit State of Mind, but it's so much more than just being fit.
Yeah. It stands for Fit State of Mind, like I said. We are all about taking a conscious approach to a state of mind. So we like to teach really simple practices like breathing, massage, and alignment, make you more resilient in the face of pain, stress, and anxiety. And these are just really simple skills that you can basically do anywhere in the world once you learn them. So that's why we like to teach that stuff.
And it's evolved from being.
Yeah. So when I first, even when I was kind of first getting here, we were just starting to turn that corner. They're just starting to get Z Health, start to move in that direction. That was 4 years ago now, almost. Yeah, a little over 4 years ago now. And we totally changed from that. Even when Marco first started out the facility, in 2011, it was boot camp style, but he chose the name Fitsom, Fit State of Mind, because he always knew that there was something more to wellness than just physical fitness, right? And so that kind of slowly, we always knew that was part of our DNA from the beginning. And then when I got here, and there's another practitioner here at the time who was really big in Z Health, and we just started to help push that envelope and keep turning that corner. And then we just kept learning and studying from just whoever we could and whoever willing to teach us, and just trying to apply it back for our clients, trying to apply it back. It's been kind of developed our own little system here, and it's been really helpful. So we're really happy to teach it. Yeah.
Cool. And right now it's just in Sacramento.
Yeah. Right now we're just here in Sacramento. Hopefully not for too much longer, but we've still got some definite work to do to get there. So yeah.
We talked about earlier about Wim Hof.
Yes.
Instructor.
Yep.
And you just hit level 2, is that?
Not yet. No, not yet. Yeah, I gotta do a couple more workshops. I'm working on it. So if you need some workshops, I need some spots to get to level 2. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm a Wim Hof instructor, about a year and a half ago or so. We were, I did this goal at the age of, I forget how old I was, but I told myself, to get college at the point that, by the time I was 30, I wanted to be, running or managing, GMing a club, or a club of my own, one of the two, right? And so I got exactly what I wished for, even a few years early, and I was like super proud of myself. I was like 28. I was like, look, I got it all. And we worked on it. But unfortunately, you got to be careful kind of what you ask for too, because with this new level of responsibility and stress, I had lost the way to cope with it, basically. Exercise and eating well and sleeping enough had always been enough to deal with this. And this was the first part of my life where it wasn't enough anymore, right? So I had to find some way to change. And luckily enough, I have a very lovely wife who we've been together for a really long time. So we just know each other very well. And basically, I was at that point in my life, I was worrying myself sick. So I would wake up every morning, go to the bathroom, and throw up. And that's how my morning would start. I would wake out of a dead sleep to have to go puke, and that's how the morning would start. And, I'd gone to the doctor, and they were like, you have acid reflux. And I was like, yeah, that's what's going on, but that's more of the symptom of what I'm dealing with. I don't think that's the root cause, And so I decided to kind of look at myself from, almost as one of my own clients, and I was like, what's going on with you? It's like your stomach's messed up, your intestines are messed up, your breathing's erratic, it's not right. You can feel it. You're anxious. Like, and you're getting sick every morning. What nerve controls all these things? Because we spend a lot of time looking at the brain and the nervous system. It's like, oh, it's the vagus nerve. It's like, okay, what can you do to get better signals through the vagus nerve? And having poor vagal tone is actually a medical condition, and it has all kinds of really kind of negative health benefits associated with it. That's essentially what I was dealing with. I had poor vagal tone. And so I was trying to figure out a way to send better quality signals to my nervous system. It was like the best way to do that was deep breathing. Mm-hmm. And at that time,
before you get the vagal tone, how did you know that? Like, is that what the doctor said, or
no,
that was your own research?
That was knowing about the nervous system, knowing about the body, and knowing doing research on what was going on, and kind of trying to figure out. It's like, what do they all like? My thing was like, what do they all have in common? I was like, oh, they all this nerve talks to all of these guys, right? And the vagus nerve is really important. It's like our window into our rest and digest part of our nervous system, that parasympathetic side of the nervous system, right? So it was kind of like, okay, if I can just get this guy working better, maybe everything else will start to kind of get better. And so, yeah, sure enough, I was like doing, what's the best way to stimulate it? Singing, humming, deep breathing. And I was like, well, what's the best deep breathing I know at the time? And that was Wim Hof. And I'd already known about Wim Hof at the time, but it's like, oh, he's pretty cool. He's jumping around the ice and doing nice cool things. But I just really hadn't given it the time to really learn it or practice it. I'd done it a couple of times. So I was like, that's cool. I'll get to it eventually. But didn't have the need or the catalyst for some kind of change yet to start really practicing it. And then, so I remember the first day I did it, I got sick, went back to bed, laid down, did like 3 rounds of breathing. And I remember just laying there and I just opened one eye. I was like, whoa, I feel significantly better than I have in about a month. Mm-hmm. And I kept doing it. And I was doing it in the morning, and I was even doing it at the night sometimes, just so I could get better sleep. It just helped me relax. And I just loved the way I felt afterwards. It was just, yeah, okay, this is better. Mm-hmm. And after about 2 weeks, doing it, at least once a day, sometimes twice, all of a sudden I woke up one morning and it was like, I can't get sick. And then the whole day I was kind of waiting for it, like maybe it'll come, and it just never came. And ever since then, I just haven't really had an issue with it. It's all because I was able to send better quality signals through that vagal nerve, increasing the vagal tone and helping my body relax and heal itself, basically. And that's the cool part about the human body. Is like, given the opportunity, it can pretty much heal itself from just about everything. Mm-hmm. But you have to give it the right conditions and the right building blocks to be able to do that.
Right. So how often are you doing it now?
The Wim Hof? Yeah. I do the breathing pretty much every morning. It's occasionally like we're moving or we're traveling a lot, or just like some days I might miss a Saturday because we're doing something up early or doing something weird. But a lot of times it's pretty much every day. Yeah, at least once a day. And it's just something that I enjoy doing. It's not even like it's because I have to do it anymore. It's just something I really enjoy doing. And even just for days here at the studio when things are a little chaotic, there's a lot going on. I just feel like you get that sense of like overwhelm, like like there's a lot. Like that's the time to come back. I'll be right back. Be 10 minutes. And it's not even like I'm doing a bunch of rounds. I might do one round. And just call it like one round. Boom, good. All right, let's go back to it. And just kind of give yourself that opportunity there. To kind of reset more than anything else, right? And it's same thing with the ice bath. Like you can tell if I'm having a well, I don't want to call it a bad day, but I am having a challenging day, right? It's because, especially if it's in the morning, right? If I walk over to the ice bath and I dunk my head in at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's been a good 2 hours to start the day, like it's been a good morning, and the ice bath is a way to kind of, again, pull me out of that thought process, that whatever I'm experiencing, and kind of come back to this moment. Same thing with the breath, kind of bring you present in here to help you deal with whatever situation you're facing. Yeah. So that's why the Wim Hof method has been so awesome for me. I'm so grateful to teach it and show people. That's basically what I'm doing the most right now. I'm still teaching some of the movement classes and some of the SMR classes, but the bulk part of what I do right now is teaching the Wim Hof method and breathing classes. So it's been really, really fun. Really chill. Yeah.
And for those who don't know what Wim Hof method is.
So Wim Hof method is a specialized system developed by a guy. Wim Hof is a guy. He's a Dutch guy. And he developed the system. It's named after him. And it's basically combining the power of breathing, cold exposure, and mindset. And when we combine all those pieces together, this method has really awesome health benefits, especially dealing with some of those more chronic lifestyle issues that Western medicine really hasn't quite figured out yet. We do a really good job in Western medicine of you get a broken bone, you get a car accident, we put you back together, no problem. But the kind of more chronic lifestyle diseases that are triggered by high levels of inflammation in the body, we don't really have a solution for those yet. And that's why the Wim Hof method is really showing some huge promise for people, is because the breathing helps to lower inflammation in the body. Wim's been able to show this and done studies on this, where he was able to show that he could augment his immune system by doing the breathing and actually lower his immune response to an endotoxin. They injected him with a piece of a bacteria, a piece of denatured bacteria. It tricked his immune system into thinking that he had E. coli blood poisoning, and so his body mounted an immune defense for that. But instead of mobilizing the entire army, right, it only mobilized a very acute response to deal with that. And most people's immune systems mobilize the entire army, right? And it costs a lot of energy. And the problem with that is that over time, if you keep doing that, the system actually starts to attack the body itself in these prolonged inflammation periods. And that's basically what autoimmune diseases are. It's the immune system attacking its own body because there's so much inflammation.
There's so many people that I want to do Wim Hof on a daily basis because they have autoimmune disease, or they're just not where they want to be in their health. And it's as simple as breathing. Cold exposure. Yeah,
I think that, and a lot of times it seems like it might be hard. The ice bath seems a little scary to people, but I think, what's really hard is being in pain all day, or not being who you want to be, being anxious all day was miserable, I will trade the ice bath every day for feeling like that. No problem, and I think that once you can kind of wrap your head around that and get to experience that, then you're like, oh, there is light at the end of this tunnel. There is a way to kind of move past this. And that's why the method, I think, has so many implications other than just autoimmune diseases, but just in everyday life for mental performance and health.
Right. So how many rounds does one do?
It's totally the average is usually we basically tell people it's usually about 3 or 4 rounds. And if you're looking to get started, in the method, you're not really sure where to start, definitely, think about hitting up the Wim Hof app. There's an app out there. It's pretty great. That's how I got started. It helps you track your times of your rounds. It helps you track the days you've been doing it. And that was really big for me in the beginning. It was just look, I've done it every day, shows it on a calendar. I've done it every day, and look how much better I feel. So it was really easy to make that connection. I feel better because I'm doing this, right? And I think there's even a guided session on there by Wim himself to take you through it. They've got some explanation on how to get started with cold exposure through cold showers. So that's a great way to kind of start to develop a practice. And then from there, if you want to learn even more, they have the online courses, or the in-person workshops are a great way to definitely take your technique, or to learn your technique and take it to that next level.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what's really great about attending workshops like this or taking classes like that is it really connects you back into your body. We're so disconnected from what is actually wrong because of inflammation, because of we don't even realize that we are our best doctors. So when I did a yoga teacher training, my yoga practice got so much better because I could feel in my body, okay, I just need to lower my hip this way a little bit more, or I need to drop my shoulder this way, or I need to open my chest this way. But I could make those cues because I was so in tune with my body from that practice.
And that just feels good. To have that control and that awareness, just feel your brain loves it. It actually really loves that attention to detail and things like that. And when you don't have that, it's really easy to kind of get lost in everything and just kind of be all over the place. We call it autopilot or being lost in the sauce, right? Either you're on autopilot and your habits are the exact same and you want change, but you literally haven't changed anything that you're doing. So how could anything ever change? Or you're just lost in it. So you're going this way and then you go that way and then you go that way and you're just trying all these different things and your energy's not focused in any one direction.
Yeah.
So that's kind of lost in the sauce.
So earlier I'd asked you, and it took a while to get there, but I'm going to ask you again. If somebody is at ground zero and wants to make a change, what is your suggestion to make that change?
I had a good answer. It took us like 10 minutes to get to this answer, but let's see if I can do it a little faster. I remember the first part that I decided was like, you have to have some kind of desire or something has to happen to you to force you to make you want to change, right? So for me, throwing up every day, right, for about a couple of weeks was enough to force me to want to change. And I think, I think I used this example last time, like no one goes to the dentist when their tooth first starts to hurt, right? It's got to take a couple of days for it to get really bad. And they're like, no, I need to be seen immediately, right? It's like, yeah. And like, unfortunately, I think a lot of people do that to themselves, instead of dealing with this stuff sooner. And if you deal with it sooner, it's a lot easier to solve. Like, it really is a lot easier. Yeah. And like, now I look back and it's like, dude, you're so silly. Why would you wait that long? But at the same time, I want to give myself a little bit of credit because I didn't rely on anybody else, right? I decided to do the research. I decided to like look at myself and take a step back for some perspective and be like, what can you do to make yourself better, right? And so that was really cool learning experience for me, so and I think that's something that I can take forward into other areas of my life. I've been down the rabbit hole and no one pulled me back up, right? I pulled me back up. Like, I don't get me wrong, I shouldn't say no one pulled me back up. I had an amazing support network. Like, my family, my friends, our team here, they all kind of let me just kind of deal with it. And, and so I shouldn't say I did it completely by myself, but for the most part, it was a lot of my directed effort that caused that end result.
From the direction of your wife saying, has to change.
Yeah, it says like she literally, like, I was laying on the floor. She said, I think something has to change. And in that moment, I immediately fired back. Well, I'm not quitting, so I got to figure something else out. And that was my catapult for change. That moment was like, I'm not quitting, right? And the job stress was definitely what it was doing to me. It's like, I'm not quitting. I'm not ready to quit. I put too much time and effort. And I know that there's something big here. And so I wasn't willing to quit on this dream, this idea, this future. I just couldn't, and so it was like, well, I need to change something else, and so that's why I decided to kind of do that. So the first part is definitely finding, having the desire or hitting that low point to cause change, and then the second one was, I don't remember the second one.
It doesn't have to be this way.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, like it doesn't have to stay this way. That was so big. Yeah, like realizing that what you're experiencing right now doesn't have to be your future tomorrow, right? I think some of us take today or take yesterday, right? And like we wake up in the morning, we think how yesterday went, and we use that as a prediction for today. It's like, how would today ever be any different, right? If you're thinking of trying to make it exactly like it was yesterday, like you want something different, but you're making it the exact same, So I think that's a big part too.
Yeah. For me, I've noticed a difference. I've started to journal every night versus every morning. And at night, I won't just journal like what happened, but I'll make sure I celebrate things. And it doesn't have to be something good. It can be a celebration of learning something. If something bad happened, what did I learn from it? And that's a celebration. So I write down those things that happened during the day, because when I wake up, I'm not thinking about yesterday. I've already left it all on the paper.
Exactly. It's over. Today's a new day with new opportunities, and you should be excited for it, right? And I think sometimes, like when you're in that low point, right? Or you're struggling with something, whether it be a health issue or just anxiety or a stressor, like it's really hard for you to see past that immediate problem and not see a future where this doesn't exist or where you've solved this problem. Right? But if you could concentrate on that part instead of the problem, like, what is the solution instead of the problem, it gets so much easier. It just gets so much easier. But it's a total change in the way you think about it, right? It's like, I don't have enough money to do this, right? I can't do this because I don't have this money. I can't have energy and you're focused into that. Then all this other stuff starts to change. But again, it's hard. And it took me a month. Like someone else had to call me on it, right? Like, it's hard to do in the moment. And I think that the more you do this work, though, the more that you pay attention to your thought process and you recognize it, the faster it is to catch yourself in these moments, you know, before you go down these bigger, longer rabbit holes.
Right.
And again, it doesn't have to be this way. You know, I know a lot of people out there who were in pain for a long time, and they're thinking that they can't do this because, you know, the Wim Hof method or the ice bath or something like that, because it's going to be hard. You know, it's like, hard is being in pain all day, right? You know, not, you know, easy is sitting in the ice bath for 2 minutes when you're in pain all day. You know, and it's just kind of making them realize that it's like, you guys, especially like a pain patient, you guys, like with chronic pain patient, you guys are some of the toughest people out there. Like every day you waking up to the same thing. And all of that we're trying to do a lot of the times is overload the body and the brain with a bigger signal than your pain, right? The cold is a bigger signal than your pain, right?
So you can't deny.
Yeah, exactly. And so all of a sudden, you know, we have people, it's like, your back hurt? Oh, it's like, yeah. And, you know, it's like, they just got their hands or something in there. It's like, no, but my hands are killing me. It's like, yeah, your back doesn't hurt, right? Yeah, it's like, and like, those are kind of those aha moments, you know, that the clients have. And those are the stuff that I can't necessarily, I can only show you, right, and help you become more aware of them. Yeah. And then those are one of the best moments. Like, I was walking the other day and we opened up, you know, remember when we opened up my hips and I could feel my butt? I felt it the whole time I was walking yesterday. It's like, that's awesome. That's what we want. We want you to develop this awareness about your body, your thought process. And that's how you can change. And that's how you can grow and change, right?
Earlier we talked about SMR.
Oh, SMR, yeah.
And how it is interconnected with everything else in the body.
Yeah, you know, SMR, so quick definition, SMR is called self-myofascial release. It's a fancy way of saying getting knots and tension out of the body, right? It's just a fancy way of saying getting all those stiff spots out of the body.
Right. And not having to go see a massage therapist.
And not going to have to see a massage therapist to do it. Yeah, so basically everything that a massage therapist does, we teach you guys how to do to yourself using different tools like a ball or a pipe or a TheraCane or something like that. And then you guys get to use those techniques anywhere that you are. And so it's been really great because we have clients now. I was doing something in the yard the other day and I kind of like tweaked something, but then I got on the ball and I like released my lat and I felt so much better afterwards. It's like, that's what we want for clients, like the ability to self-correct, I guess, right? You know, that self-correction ability. And then the SMR, you know, like the body definitely keeps score, right? So like your physical stress manifests and emotional stress manifests in the body as stiffness and tightness and knots. And if you don't believe that, I want you to think about the last time you're stuck in traffic on a long day and you were sitting there and you were actually rubbing your neck and shoulders. It had nothing to do with your neck and shoulders being sore. It was all the tension that you were carrying all day from being stressed out, right? And having your shoulders up here next to your ears. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like this, guys. It can be something as subtle as that, but that tension all day is enough to kind of do that for sure. So not only does the body keep score, but we can use this massage technique, the self-massage technique, to alleviate tension in the body, which ultimately lowers stress levels in the body and helps you guys think and feel a little bit better and helps reduce pain. And then we can use I think what makes us special is we like to combine like you said, all of our different aspects. So even though we may be talking about breathing, we might still be doing some SMR to the lats, to the rib cage, to the diaphragm, to open that area up so that we can get the most out of our breathing, right? And so it's a lot of mechanical efficiency a lot of times when we talk about SMR, like how, you know, it's like even just walking, you know, like if your feet are not working, right, they're so stiff, right, then you're not getting any propulsion out of them and you're literally just slapping the ground all day long. And then you wonder after walking all day, man, my back really hurts. It's like because you've been slapping the ground the whole day. Your feet aren't doing any work, you know, they're so tight. It might as well just be like big stone bricks on your feet, you know, like that's essentially what you're doing with them. And that's why your back hurts. And so teaching people to how they can relieve tension in these parts of their body that affects other parts of their body too. That's kind of the cool part about SMR, you know, is that a lot of times clients are like, yeah, my like upper back and neck is killing me. It's like, well, that's cool. And that, you know, while it may be good to feel good to massage all that stuff up there, ultimately that's not really the issue. The issue is from the front and everything pulling you forward and those guys being in tension all day. And so part of this process is educating you more about your body, is how it actually moves and works together. And I think as far as like an awareness tool, SMR is such a great awareness tool about your body. Most people do not know enough about their body, like where these muscles actually move and touch and contract. And then they try to go and move their body and they have no picture really of how it works. And so they can't contract, they can't move, they can't relax it because they don't have any awareness around it, right? And then ultimately the SMR kind of ties back in because in order to be efficient at your SMR practice, you have to be efficient at breathing. Because if you're laying on a tight spot, and those of you guys who experience some SMR, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like you're working on TFL, your glutes, your stoic piriformis, something like that, and it's just on that spot. And if you sit there and you're just like tensing up, you're just adding tension back into the body, right? It's totally defeating the purpose. Right. And it's funny how often, like I catch myself all the time. You're like, I'll be working on my belly, and all of a sudden I start to feel it's like, no, relax, you know. And just breathe. That's exactly it. So you've got to get those nice, long, slow exhales, really calming the body and the nervous system in order to get the most out of that practice. And so it helps to develop an awareness too about your breathing under an uncomfortable situation. Because a lot of times we'll stick this ball in one of the tightest spots in your body and be like, okay, breathe, relax, you know, and like, relax, what do you mean? Yeah. It's like, well, it's your body, your muscles, right? I can't relax them for you, only you can, right? And the only way to do that is to focus back on your breathing.
I get it during like a deep tissue massage where it's like really painful. I'm like,
this like you're mid conversation, like hold on a second.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But how did you even get to this point? Like, how did you get into SMR, into Z Health? Like, how did you get here versus just being a trainer for fitness?
Yeah, I think that I think that I've been really lucky to be exposed to a lot of different things. Early on, you know, my dad's a teacher, he's biology, physiology, sports medicine teacher, athletic trainer, you know, so we grew up in a household where, you know, it was very much, you know, this isn't your leg, this is your femur, you know, like, and it was just very much so like that growing up, which is really cool because it helped me a lot later in life.
And I'm sure
as an athlete, you know, playing sports and growing up playing sports, and a lot of the sports stuff now, it's kind of funny, you know, a lot of the things that you inherently learn playing sports, you know, about your breathing, about the way you move, and things like that, transfer back, you know, and sometimes it almost makes it a little bit more, not more difficult. It is a challenge for me sometimes because I got to remember that people do not have the same awareness that I have, right? It doesn't just come naturally. Like even the most natural stuff to me is maybe completely unnatural to somebody else, right? And so it's like, and so I constantly have to be like, do you feel that? And then a lot of times it's like, no. And it's like, okay, cool. You know, it's like cool. And now I know you don't feel that. So I was lucky enough to get exposed to a lot of stuff. You know, I think one of the biggest things to get to here, and I think that, you know, I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by people who feel the same way, Marco and Caitlin and everybody feel the exact same way, is that, you know, never stop learning, right? You know, there was a time, you know, when I graduated college, I was working. I came here, and when I first started here, I'd already been working in the field for like 5 years. And, you know, most people 5 years in, they're feeling pretty good about their craft. They're getting, you know, finding some flow in it. They just have a little system going. And I decided to completely change everything that I was doing. And I spent probably the first 6 months I was here, I'd teach the morning classes, and then I'd spend about 2 to 3 hours studying information after that. And that was like the first 6 months. And I basically turned it into my own little like mini master's program, you know, and I just try to dive through as much information on the brain, body, and everything like that as I could. And so I think that's been a huge factor as to why I'm here now, right? It's because I chose to never stop learning. I chose to continue to seek out information. And then, you know, I've been lucky to surround myself with really good people who feel the same way. So they're constantly giving you back info, like, you should check this out. You should look at that, you know, and I think that helps so much. Like if you have a community of people who are on the same kind of general trajectory as you, and they're have the same general goals to helping people and making them feel and perform better. You just can get this wealth of information, you know, kind of put together. And I think I've been really fortunate and blessed that reading and kind of absorbing information has been always pretty easy for me, you know, and then applying it, you know, and so I'm kind of fortunate in that regard, whereas I can read something, can take it in, internalize it, and kind of apply it pretty quickly. So that's been really cool. And then again, I've exposed myself a lot, you know, like when I was in college, I was working at a physical therapy place, you know, so even before I graduated, I was already doing some of this work, already had a lot of exposure. Cal Poly is a very hands-on program. Like you are doing all of the exercise testing the whole time you're in there. Like by the time I graduated, I could do a full-on like cardiovascular test. You'd be on the treadmill. I could take your blood pressure on the treadmill. I'll hook you up to all these things going on. Not a big deal, you know. Like skin. Like I remember I got to the job like when I first got started off as like a fitness intern at the bigger club I used to work for. It's like you can do skin folds. It's like I've done hundreds of them already. You know, it's like we used to do those like damn near every day. You know, it's like I've done tons of those already. And so I think having that base skill in the very beginning, you know, because I was very well prepared when I came out. was allowed me to kind of like have more time, not to catch up, but to further that a little bit too. So like, so that being, Cal Poly having their hands-on approach, working in physical therapy offices, and just kind of exposing myself early on in the career. And that it was really good work in the physical therapy office too, because I thought I wanted to go into physical therapy at first. And I worked in the physical therapy office and I realized this is all geriatrics. I do not want to do just geriatric. I was like, I'm down to do some, like I had like one of my favorite clients are older clients and really young clients, not that there's anything wrong with you guys in the middle. I love you guys too. But, I just didn't see myself doing that. And the same thing with training. When I got into this profession, I kind of told myself, you are not going to be 35, 40, 50, whatever it may be towards the end of your career and still racking weights for people and moving weights around. Like that's just never something that I really saw myself doing. And I kind of made that promise to myself because I originally thought I was going to go to med school or go to P school after college. So part of getting into this industry was that I made that promise to myself, is that you can't just be a worker, I guess. You gotta create something or develop something a little bit on your own too. So I got exposed to a lot, got to do a lot of work. My upbringing helped a lot, and then I didn't stop learning, and just seeking out information and other people that are willing, seeking out people that are willing to teach you, more than anything else. I think that hands-on experience is just so underrated now.
It's tactile. When you feel it, and it sticks because you're experiencing it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm big. We have interns here at the studio from Sac State, and I love having them here, and I think that they're getting a lot of value out of it. I think their program's good over there. But I think a lot of their stuff is theory based, and so they don't get as much hands-on stuff that I used to get, and so I think getting them here and kind of changing that perspective a little bit for them is really important too. How else did I get here? Learning. I think that might be it. I guess I didn't quit either. That was part of it too. There's opportunities to change and to quit, to move on, and I decided that wasn't the option for me. So having a little bit. I think a lot of athletes have this, is that ability, that staying power ability, that, yeah, exactly. No, keep bringing it. I can keep taking it. It's like, this hurts, it's not fun. I'm uncomfortable, but keep going. I can keep going. I can keep pushing,
Which can be a detriment.
And that brings me to the next point, right? Which is that, having that mental capacity can also be a detriment to yourself. And I know that this is something that I have to be very mindful about because I can get thrown one side to the other. And that is making the time for me, and, I think, the last one we talked about, is just making sure that I make that time for me to make sure I'm taking care of me, so that I feel like I'm on top of my game and I have reserved to give, not that's not like I'm giving away the last bits, right? If you feel like if you're in this profession, in the health industry, and in any industry really where you're serving other people, and you feel like you're constantly giving away your last bit of energy, you're not doing something right. Yeah, you're not doing something right. Yeah, exactly. You're not doing something right. And for me, that's always just taking the time for me, and I'm one of those people too who likes to start a job and finish the job too. So part of adjusting to this business lifestyle was that projects don't get done in a day. They might take months, they might take weeks, they might take years. Yeah. And they just sit there on this back burner. And I really having these things sit on the back burner was something that I had to it's not that they're on the back burner, it's that today I have to work on this. And so tomorrow I work on this, and today I work on this, and then tomorrow I get to work on that, and but having that ability to switch back and forth was something challenging at first for me. And it just took time to learn. It just took time to learn that flow in that system and try to adjust. And everything doesn't have to happen right away. It usually doesn't. And it's just your expectation. I just want it done. It's well, that's cool, but that's not what's going to happen. Yeah.
It's that progression.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I cannot stress the importance of taking time for yourself. Every time, and I've been much better about this lately, where I always felt bad about I gotta go, that was never really me. I was just around people and things like that, and it's something I've been trying to be better about. I want to go for a run right now, and everybody's here, but who cares? I'll be back in an hour. It's or I want to go do some breathing for 20 minutes, and I'll be right back. And just doing those little things for you, because that's what you needed. And the only person who's really judging you for it is you usually. Yeah. You know, no one cares. No one,
Yeah.
and we said everybody's dealing with their own shit. You know, like there's so much stuff going up here in most people's heads that like they're not paying attention.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing about yoga classes. Like, well, I don't want to do yoga because I don't want everyone looking at me. It's like nobody's looking at you.
Yeah, no one notices what you're doing.
No one.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking at like, how am I looking in this pool?
Yeah, it's like, how do I look in the mirror, right? Yeah.
Doing this right? So, yeah, I think it's when you were talking about like, okay, I'm going to do this today and this tomorrow. It made me think of sports. Like, you don't practice every day.
Nope.
You practice maybe 6 days, 5 days, you have a game, but then you also have strength and conditioning a couple of days, and that strength and conditioning changes when you're in season, when you're out of season. If you're playing baseball versus soccer, like it's all just kind of.
And then the skill work has to rotate too, right? You know, whatever, you know, maybe baseball, you're working throwing, you know, one day and then hitting the next day, and it's just skill progression. I think that's when you start to take that approach to these projects and these challenges, and they're not always problems, right, guys? They're challenges, right? Then that's when things start to get really better. It's hard, and I'll be the first one to admit, like, you know, talked about it, I think already. I'm getting confused between we talked about. But you know, it's hard to see yourself, or it's hard to get that perspective in the moment when you feel like you're down the rabbit hole, or you're in this pain, or whatever it is, you're just lost a little bit. It's hard to have that perspective, but you know, giving yourself a little bit of time, alone time, quiet time, some way to reflect back, I think is a great way to do that. I love, like, if I could get up in the morning, I really like the quiet of the morning, but I'm definitely more of a, like, I like the quiet of the night too. My wife usually likes to get up early, so even if it's like I'm up early, usually it's not the same as being totally alone, you know, and I need that time every now and again, you know, like that time just to, like, it's quiet, and that's like, sometimes some of my best thinking happens in that little, you know, like 10:30 to 11:30 at night, you know, like, I'm not saying like 2 a.m. till 3 a.m, right? Like, within reason, get some sleep. Sometimes, you know, like sometimes, you know.
There's a school of thought that the people that get up, they're creatives, will get up between the hours of like 1 and 4. And then if you get up and you actually do some work and you have the flexibility to go back to sleep, some of your best creative time is in that 1 to 4.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Yeah, not me. I'm just sleep usually, but yeah. But yeah, I can totally see how that. Your dreams are so cool. Totally have these. It's amazing what your brain processes. You know, like how it can give you these little insights to look and take the time. You know, to look for.
Yeah, quiet time though.
Yeah, the quiet time's big. Quiet time's big for me. You know, I love being around people, and I love teaching, and I love doing all these things, but that requires a lot of me a lot of times. Yeah. It's all out, right? That's all out, and so I need some time to come back into, and that's been such a huge difference maker for me as far as like energy, right? You know, because I was always just like grind, and the more I step back, it's like I feel like, and like you get more done too. Like it's funny. Like I was gonna say, I feel like I know I get more done when I'm taking. You know, it's not. I know for a fact that I'm getting more done when I'm taking this on. So if you think like I can't because I'm just grinding, I just have so much to do. You're not efficient with that time. You know, like you're just not being efficient with that time, and that's why you know we do something here called the 12 series, and that whole idea is it doesn't matter if you're trying to increase your performance or just your mental capability in work and life. You know, just emotionally trying to get better and grow. The 12 series that we do can touch on all those things because it's making you better. It's making you less stressed, right? Less tension, less pain. And if you don't have to deal with those things, if you're not so stressed out, if you're not in constant achy pain, if your stomach isn't in knots, then you're able to make clearer, better decisions. Yeah. And we all know the better decisions you make, the better the outcomes. Right. And as soon as your outcomes start getting better, you're going to feel even better. So it all starts with that decision-making process. Yeah. And if you can clean that up, then things start to get better. Yeah. You know, but it's a process. It is a process.
And I think I'm going to end it there.
Okay.
Because that is a beautiful way to end it. The decision-making process is a process.
Yeah.
And that, what you said earlier, it's the want, and that it doesn't have to be this way.
It doesn't have to be this way. And I think that's kind of the cool thing. And it's something I have to remind myself about, you know, sometimes when things aren't going the way we want it. But just because today was like this doesn't mean tomorrow's going to be exactly the same. And I think that humans are really good, and we've succeeded as a species because we're able to take information from our past and help us predict the future. But at the same time, that can work, you know, to our disadvantage if our expectations are for a negative event or for the same, and even though we don't want the same, for the same to keep happening to us.
Just that shift, and like, okay, it doesn't have to be that way. How do I not make it that way?
Exactly. You know, that's
learning from that experience.
And that's not focusing on the problem. That's looking and focusing on the solution to that problem. Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming up. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Can people find you on Instagram?
People can find me on Instagram. So it's just KOShay28 is my Instagram, or at Fitsom Studios for Instagram. And then fitsomstudios.com is where most of the information on the website and stuff like that. If you're interested in that, that's where all of the Wim Hof workshops are posted too. If you're interested in doing some of the Wim Hof workshops. And
potentially some adventures.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully within this year we can get outside a little bit more. Something I'm really interested in doing. We talked about those overlap. Was that this one?
No.
Okay.
The
overlapping parts of life. Leilani talks a lot about that with you guys. So, but that was one of the things that I can really see happening for me in the next couple of years, and combining the skills, the impact, and your values and with joy. Okay, values. Yeah, I got that all wrong. Yeah. I have the circle in my head. I knew how to do it. I just didn't have the words for it. Apparently,
you know what to do. Be in nature.
Yeah.
Do some breathing.
Be in nature. Do some breathing. Get people to kind of push that boundary, comfort zone, just a little bit. And that's that.
Okay. Growth happens outside of the comfort zone.
Right. Cool.
Cool. Yay.
Awesome.